Once again, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 10th Annual Mothman Festival. My name is Joe Clark. I am the founder of Commonwealth Paranormal, and today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the types of hauntings and entities. If you were here last year, this is the same presentation I did last year, but if you remember, we couldn't get the PowerPoint to work, so I had to read it all off. So I decided to do it one more time, and hopefully y'all can get some visuals this time. Before we get to our presentation, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm a certified ghost hunter. I am the founder of Commonwealth Paranormal. I'm also the author of The Life and Times of a Paranormal Investigator. I do have a few of those books with me today. If you'd like one, just stop by my table out on the street. I've been nominated for 2 Best National Paranormal Investigator Awards. In 2009, I was named one of the top 20 paranormal investigators in the world by the Para-X Network, which is the world's largest paranormal media network. And I have filmed for A&E Television, and I have been featured in numerous newspapers. I've been featured in American Profile magazine, in television specials, and on numerous radio shows. So that tells you a little bit about me. And so with that, we'll go into our presentation. Today we're going to cover the different types of hauntings, and we're going to cover some residual hauntings, intelligent hauntings, poltergeist, portal hauntings, crisis hauntings, attachment hauntings, demons, elementals, fairies, harbingers, aliens, and angels. Of course, I'm going to talk about angels since I am one. Just kidding. Before we talk about the different types of hauntings, we must first explain to you the difference between a ghost and a spirit. Now keep in mind, nobody has ever caught a ghost at a ball and brought it back and had it to say, hey, I'm a ghost, okay? So everything I'm telling you today is basically just based on theory, based on my research and countless other paranormal investigators. I just kind of combined everybody's theories into one. And so, you know, your opinion may differ, that's fine. It doesn't make me right and you wrong, or you right and me wrong, you know, whatever. I think I said that backwards, but you get my point. The paranormal is still a very new field, even though there's thousands of paranormal investigators out there. Nobody has all the answers. Okay, let me back up. I forgot what I was doing. A ghost is a person that has died, but for whatever reason has not crossed over. They remain earthbound. Perhaps they don't know they're dead. Maybe they're lingering around, you know, they have unfinished business, whatever the case may be. How many of you know Chip Coffey from Paranormal State Psychic Kids? Chip's a good friend of mine, and he brought up a good point a couple of years ago, and I never really thought about it, but it made a lot of sense. Another reason they could possibly still be hanging around is depending on everybody's religious beliefs. I'm using this from a Christianity standpoint. Perhaps they're afraid, or they are afraid to face the judgment of God. Maybe they've been a bad person or whatever, and they're afraid to face the judgment of God. And therefore, they're trying to hang on this side for that very reason. So that's just a possibility. If I get in the way of that, y'all. Okay, this mic's got a short end, by the way. Okay, and a spirit is a person that has passed and completed the transition, but for whatever reason they come back at certain times, like for an anniversary, a birthday, or whatever. Maybe you're going through a trial. They come back and just kind of let you know that they're there to comfort you and that type of thing. But again, a ghost is something that somebody's died but has not crossed over. A spirit is someone that has died, has crossed over, but comes back on occasions. First, we'll talk about ghosts. Ghosts, they may not realize that they are dead. They refuse to cross over, to go into the light or to the other side. They cling to places that they did in real life, and maybe they cling to their home. Maybe they cling to the place that they're dying. If y'all are late, you got an excuse? I'm just kidding. Ghosts are more disturbing than spirits. They're more consistent than spirits, and they are more active and troublesome. And as paranormal investigators, they are the easiest for us to see and hear due to the fact that they stay earthbound. So, that tells you a little bit about ghosts. Spirits, on the other hand, they know they have died and they reside in the spirit realm. They come back to visit at key times in our lives, such as the birth of a child, a graduation, or to deliver a message during a time of need, or that type of thing. Spirits are kinder and more gentle and subtle than ghosts. For example, you may just smell the person's perfume, or if it's a male, you may smell his favorite cigar, or whatever the case may be. They may gently move an object, that kind of thing. The residual haunting. We're getting to the types of hauntings now, and I'm having to look here and there because it's not, some of this one down here is not getting all of it. A residual haunting is like having an impression made in time. The spirit really isn't even there, only their energy is, and it's the most common type of human haunting. Typically, the repeated event is whatever the person did often, or a significant event that they remember happening to them. These hauntings always seem to happen in the same place every time, repeatedly, at a particular time. It's like playing a video over and over again. It's the same scene over and over. And that's a residual haunting. And an interesting fact about residual, sometimes the person don't even have to be dead. You know, if somebody's got a strong energy, when they leave, the energy can hang around. Intelligent haunting is the most widely accepted type of haunting, but not as common as you might think. These spirits are not confined into one spot. They move around freely. The entity involved is an intelligent presence. It knows you're there, and it may try to communicate with you. The spirit will usually manifest itself in physical ways like slamming, opening doors, and windows, weird sounds, disembodied voices, disturbance of electrical devices and chills, and a feeling of being watched. And they may even hide things from you. But I want to point something out here real quick. Intelligent hauntings, they're limited as to what they can do. Most of the time, they have only moved very light objects. But they have been known to move objects up to and around 10 pounds. I haven't seen that, to be honest with you, in all my years of investigating. Light objects, yeah, you may see them move occasionally. For example, I went to a cemetery not long ago, and I had some flags and some flowers move on command. There was no wind at all. So that's typical. All right, the poltergeist. Poltergeist means noisy ghost. Poltergeist activity is probably the most misunderstood form of paranormal activity. Two different types of cases are referred to as poltergeist. Most of the time, the case of a poltergeist, the haunting circles around a female in her teen years. These cases seem to be caused by a female unknowingly controlling the energy around herself. This person may be highly stressed as of late, or maybe this person has gone through some type of extreme emotional situation. And if this is the case, see that the individual gets some kind of medical care, and soon after, the poltergeist will subside. When it's not a person that's manifesting the activity, there are usually several spirits in the area. These spirits that pull their energy together to become strong enough to move larger objects and make more noises. In this case, you need to find the root of their anger so they can pass over and leave you in peace. The most known poltergeist cases include the Enfield poltergeist in 1977, which was taking place over in England, and the Callahan poltergeist, which happened in the 60s, not too far from here, a little town called Olive Hill, Kentucky. And that one was very well known as well. And I actually had an invitation a couple of years ago to come to that house and do an investigation when that activity took place there. And scheduling, I couldn't work it in, but from what I understand from the family, that some of the activity has picked up again. Demons. Now, I want to say something before I even get on this. Demonic hauntings are very few and far between. I know some of these TV shows, they like to make it look like every case they go on is demonic, and that's not the case at all. Demons are angels that were cast out of heaven by God during the rebellion against God led by Lucifer. There are several levels or hierarchies of demons, each with different powers. Demons are one of the most frightening hauntings. They are the direct, demonic hauntings are the direct result of demons, despite popular belief that the demonic hauntings may occur as a result of the anger of a human soul or a human spirit that intends to bring harm to others. Demons are not at all human. Those that are weak on the emotional or physical or psychological level, rather, are the ones that are most likely to suffer the wrath and evil that these types of hauntings cause. Demonic hauntings can be very dramatic, even violent. They often start out with subtle and relatively simple paranormal activity and quickly increase to stronger activity. You may, as I told you earlier, I filmed a segment for A&E Television. Some of y'all may have saw the show, but I drove 10 hours and filmed a segment for the show, but it never made it in it. It was the IM6 case on Paranormal State, where the girl had to undergo a full-blown exorcism. That was my case originally. I turned it over to Paranormal State, and Chris Devin and I, Chris was a member of my team at that time, and we drove to Quincy, Illinois. We were there for the filming of that. But this lady, the way it started out was this girl watched Ghost Hunters one night, thought it was cool. She goes to a retailer and buys a digital recorder. She goes home, gets herself in a closet, and starts trying to get EVPs, which are electronic voice phenomena. In other words, spirit voices on tape. She was successful. She got a couple of them, and she thought, oh man, this is really cool. She just kept doing it and kept doing it. And each time that she was doing that, she was opening a portal to something that she had no idea what was. And it turned out to be demonic. She had to undergo a full-blown exorcism, and to this day, she is still possessed, as far as I know. I haven't heard from her in a couple of years. After I turned the case over to Paranormal State, was there for the filming, I was removed from the case. But anyway, that tells you a little bit about how they start out. And it goes. And one other thing I want to point out: this girl had no idea what she was doing. And like I said, every time she was doing an EVP session, she was opening a portal to something that she did not know. That's why I've always stressed paranormal investigating is not something to be taken lightly, folks. If you watched a show a couple of weeks ago, I think it was on Discovery Channel, called The Exorcist Files. And so there was another one. There's two on back-to-back. And there was two cases on that show where people had to undergo a full-blown exorcism simply because, and it started out because they were investigating the paranormal. And so it's very dangerous, folks. So if you're out there doing this stuff, be careful. Know what you're doing. Get some training. Just don't jump into it. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now. Angels. Messengers of God, a celestial being, benevolent in nature and invisible, appearing in human form and possessing miraculous abilities such as teleportation, healing powers, and knowledge of future events. There have been accounts of angels aiding people in times of crisis throughout the ages. Sometimes mistaken for ghosts, angels are holy and protective beings that shield us from harm. I think this is pretty well self-explanatory. The portal haunting. Portal haunting occurs wherever a portal is. A portal is basically a doorway from one dimension to another. Entities pass through these doorways. With portal hauntings, there may be orbs, mist, lights, shadows, and even creatures such as elementals, fairies, and others involved. I've only had one type of portal haunting, or at least I think it was a portal haunting. It was the Haunted Cooper House, and I had that DVD out there as well, or a couple of them anyway. But there was one room in this house that we were just, all of the investigators were drawn to, and there was one spot, it was in the bedroom, and just one spot in the floor. And we all kind of talked about it, and we all kind of, came to the conclusion that whatever was under that floor right there, there was a portal there. So that was allowing the spirits to come and go. Come on in, folks, you're fine.